Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott, I'm the Emperor of Stomaria, and today I want to talk about our growth and development. So, like a lot of micronations, the Empire of Stomaria goes through periods where we have a lot of interest from the general public. We're recruiting more citizens, we're selling more merchandise, the views and interactions on our videos or posts on other social media accounts are quite high. And then there are periods where it sort of just dies off a little bit. We enter a bit of a lull in the interest that we can garner from supporters and the members of the general public. And I don't think, like I say, this is particularly unique to Stomaria. There are periods where it's just quiet, and there are periods where, for whatever reason, things have just ramped up, and more people are paying more attention to us. It's just one of those things. And trying to maintain a sort of consistent level of interest amongst our own supporters, our own citizens, and members of the general public can be quite difficult, because if you've been in micronationalism for a long time, then you'll know that there are periods where just not an awful lot is happening. We've always tried to remain quite consistent about promoting our values and objectives, and making sure that any news or updates that is relevant to Stomaria is posted out there to keep everyone as informed as they can be. I think we're quite infamous, I'd say, in terms of our the sheer level of contributions that we make to social media in particular, because we just want to make sure that as many people as possible are aware of what we are, what we're doing, and all the rest of it. And if we do experience quiet periods, and we often do experience some quiet periods, we do try to fill that gap by encouraging people to look into the finer details of what Stomaria is, promoting the specific values and objectives that we're looking to achieve. This might be to do with energy or environmentalism, or monetary reform or governmental systems, taxation, rights and responsibilities, all the rest of it. If we can't talk about land acquisition, or the acquisition of additional Stomarian status, or new uniforms, or new alliances, if we can't sort of talk about these sorts of things, then that's our normal sort of fallback. But the reason I wanted to make this particular video is because I want to encourage our supporters to get more heavily involved. Now, over the last 5 or 6 months, we've done a series of posts and videos, which is basically saying, Stomarian supporters, if you're out there, get involved, become a citizen, and play an active part in the development of the Empire of Stomaria. And when we do make these posts, these contributions, we do receive little sort of bumps in interest in the number of citizens that have been signed up, and all the rest of it. And that is what this video is about. This is about saying once again to those that are interested in or support the Empire of Stomaria, get involved, because we are looking to establish communities across the British Isles and beyond. I mean, we have citizens now, that have signed up through our Patreon campaign, as far away as New Zealand and Mexico. In fact, one of our more recent citizens from Mexico, he is actually the leader of another micronation. Now, that micronation hasn't been integrated into the Empire of Stomaria in the same way as Molossia or Moreland or Wayward or whoever else, but they've just decided, because they support Stomaria, they wanted to become a Stomarian citizen, and that is something that we do encourage, because we don't restrict citizenship only to what you might call pure Stomarians. We do have a lot, in fact, I think probably the majority of our citizens, maybe not the majority, but a sizable minority, are from other micronations, other leaders of other micronations. And that's great, because that's what we've always strived to do, to be as inclusive as we can be on that front. Because the way, obviously, that we have citizenship set up is that each citizen adds value to the project because they contribute £1 a month through our Patreon campaign. So it doesn't matter if they're the leader of another micronation or involved in another micronation. Their citizenship of Stomaria adds value to our community. And so, of course, we welcome those people with open arms. And so I suppose the first thing I would say before I sort of continue with the rest of this video is that if you do support Stomaria, but you're not involved in another micronation, become a citizen of Stomaria through our Patreon campaign. From there, we can get you involved in whatever way you want to be, in terms of, restricted, I suppose, largely by where you are in the world. But if you wanted to become a citizen and you wanted to join the Imperial Guard, you wanted to govern a province or a protectorate, or you wanted to, become a minister or a part of the Imperial Court or something to that effect. If you wanted to become an active participant in what we're trying to do, then the first thing that you need to do is become a Stomarian citizen. As I said, it's £1 a month to become a citizen of Stomaria. It's a token gesture to say, yes, I've looked into what the Empire of Stomaria is, I support what you're doing, and this is me committing this £1 a month to show that I am serious about supporting you. A lot of our citizens contribute significantly more than £1 a month. You do have that option, but the bare minimum is £1 a month. The entry level is £1 a month. Just to separate the wheat from the chaff, because anyone can say, I support what you're doing, and I love what you're doing and all the rest of it. But if they can't commit themselves to becoming involved directly with the Empire of Stomaria, then frankly it tells me that we can't trust them to go much further than that. I mean, obviously subscribing to our YouTube channel, liking a Facebook page, and commenting on all of our posts, or saying, great work guys, keep it up. That's all fantastic, that's great. But in terms of getting directly involved in the Empire of Stomaria, we need next level stuff. We need to have that commitment, if you like. And I don't think what we're asking for is a lot. But just to put the point out there that there's obviously no pressure to do so, in the sense that this isn't a sort of coercive sort of activity or anything like that. There is a voluntarism to it. If you genuinely don't want to play an active part in Stomaria, and you don't support us enough to become a citizen to contribute that £1 a month, then that's fine. Just keep supporting us the way you always have. But this is for those that are looking to support us more directly and support us in a more meaningful, direct way and playing an active role in our development. Now, if you aren't looking to become just a private citizen, you actually are the leader of your own micronation and you want to integrate that micronation into the Empire of Stomaria, again, one of the criteria, one of the conditions of being integrated into the Empire of Stomaria, in the same way that Molossia, Wayward, Norwick and Moreland has been, the highest authority of that micronation, the king, the queen, the prince, the president, whatever else it may be, they must become a Stomarian citizen. And again, this is just a token gesture to say, I am serious about this. And if you are the leader of another micronation, or you're part of another micronation, you don't want to integrate that micronation into the Empire of Stomaria, but you support Stomaria, then, as I said earlier, you can still become a Stomarian citizen privately. So without, necessarily having your micronation at all directly affiliated with Stomaria in that way, if you choose not to. But I mean, that's, a conversation to have with each individual. But the point stands. I always get messages saying, how can I support Stomaria? How can I support Stomaria? I love what you guys are doing, but I just don't know how to sort of show my support more directly. And this is the way to do it, by becoming a citizen through our Patreon campaign. It's really as simple as that. If you want to go further, if you want to, purchase Stomarian merchandise, if you want to make one-off donations through our Go Get Funding campaign, then those links are all in the description as well. You can do that if you wish. But what matters to us, first and foremost, is the establishment of a community. And for a community to be established, we need people to be involved, people to join us, people to play an active part in what we're doing. And so this first part of the video, quite long-winded, is another rallying call, if you like. Get involved, join us, because we can't do everything that we want to do without people involved. That is to say, if every citizen left and it was just the imperial family, Stomaria would still carry on. We still have our own aspirations. We still want to reduce reliance on contributions to the UK government. As a family unit, if you like, we can still operate. But what we're doing on a larger scale is we want to establish inter-micronational trade networks. We want to include more people in a sort of community-orientated way where we can work together to establish, to accomplish the values and objectives that we're striving to do. I mean, it's great if we can put solar panels up and we can grow our own vegetables and everything and all the rest of it to become more self-reliant to achieve our objectives. But if we can do that on a grander scale, if we can get 20, 30, 50, 100, 1,000 Stomarian citizens involved, all doing the same thing, all helping one another, all networking, all trading and engaging with one another, all supporting one another. That is what I want to see. And when I say Stomarians, I don't mean necessarily even just people who have become Stomarian citizens, but the citizens of other micronations that are a part of Stomaria and its empire. Wayward being a very good example. They dwarf us in terms of the number of citizens involved in their micronation. They do a fantastic job of going out there and recruiting people, most of which I don't think are involved in the micronational community. And I think maybe that's where we're going wrong. Because, I mean, we've always identified ourselves first and foremost as a micronation. And so a lot of people within the micronational community know about us, but not a lot of people in everyday life, if you like, do know about us. And maybe that's where we're going wrong, because, I mean, Wayward, King Raoul and the royal family of Wayward, they go travelling, they go to all these different fairs and festivals and all the rest of it, and they talk to people, they engage with people in that way. And even though those people aren't familiar with micronationalism, they are soon introduced to the concept and jump on board. And maybe that's the best way to do it, because micronationalism in terms of citizenship, I mean, there's probably 10 micronational leaders for every micronation out there, if you see what I mean. There's a lot of chiefs, but not a lot of Indians, and this does make it quite difficult to establish a larger micronation in terms of citizen count if you're just fishing from the micronational pond, if you like. We've been somewhat successful in that we don't restrict citizenship of Stomaria based on what micronation, or based whether or not that person is already involved in another micronation, either as a citizen or as a leader. So I think we've got that right. But going forward, I think reaching out to members of the general public is definitely the way forward, because I think there's a limited pool of people that are available and suitable to become citizens of Stomaria. So I think going forward, that's what we're going to look at. But as I say, for those that are already supporters of Stomaria, those that are already interested in Stomaria, and those that want to be more active in Stomaria, then you can join us through our Patreon campaign. Now, going further than this, in terms of our growth and development, just, I suppose, feed into it a little bit more. Aside from more people getting involved in what we're doing, it's obviously a question of finances, of funds. And we've done quite well so far, I think, in the sale of our merchandise, in raising funds, particularly through YouTube ad revenue and through direct financial contributions from the imperial family. We've managed to raise a suitable number of funds this year so far that keeps us on track for our 2022 fundraising campaign. Because for those that don't know, what was it now? A month or two ago, maybe, we initiated a 2022 fundraising campaign where we were looking to raise £25,000 in 25 weeks. Whether or not we hit that target remains to be seen, but we are doing well so far. We raised a little over £5,000, again, principally from the imperial family, but also from contributions from our supporters through Patreon, through citizenship fees, through the sale of merchandise, including Stomarian status, the ad revenue from our YouTube videos, and, as I say, directly from the imperial family. And all of this is for the acquisition of private freehold land, the production of additional Stomarian status, and what you might call the Imperial Development Fund, where we're going to be funding micronations within the Empire of Stomaria in order to jumpstart their respective communities and projects. This might be something as simple as purchasing a physical flag, which a lot of micronations consider to be a major milestone, and some do struggle with sometimes, but it could be a lot more direct and meaningful and impactful than that. A good example would be the Kingdom of Wayward, where we purchased a beehive and are going to be able to utilize that obviously for honey next year. So, I mean, and then obviously turn that to honey mead and use it for medicinal purposes and just sell the honey as it is. But this is what we're talking about in terms of assisting and developing those micronations within the Empire of Stomaria. Because I think that would be largely expected of us, because that's, what we're all about. We're about supporting the micronations that we feel are on the same wavelength as us, that we feel are going to benefit both ourselves and the other micronations that are involved in our community. Because as King Rebel of Wayward puts it, when one succeeds, all succeed. And again, I think there is truth to that. So it's just about assisting one another in that pursuit, in that development. So again, as a sort of rallying cry, if you want to support the Empire of Stomaria financially, first and foremost, I would suggest binge watching our YouTube videos, because the ad revenue from that does, as small as it is, it does contribute to our coffers. Going a bit further than that, if you wanted a flag or a badge or a Stomarian stater coin, or whatever else, you can buy this Stomarian merchandise through our Imperial Market, which is just an eBay account. We went through eBay because it was a legitimate, recognizable brand, which I think more people would be comfortable going through rather than just doing it privately. So we went through that to give our supporters the option to purchase merchandise, which some of them over the last few months have, which is fantastic. And then, of course, if you just wanted to make a financial contribution, like a one-off financial contribution, that option is there. I don't think it's actually been utilized yet. It's not something we promote very heavily, because a lot of our supporters, they contribute through our Patreon campaign, and then they just adjust the monthly level that they want to pay. So 1 month, someone might want to pay £5 a month, and then they want to drop it down to 1 for whatever reason, and they jump it back up to 10, and then it just sort of alters in that way. That sort of feeds into the voluntary taxation system that we have, that supporters and citizens of Stomaria can contribute as much or as little as they want to the project. But for those that maybe don't want to become a Stomarian citizen, but just want to make a financial contribution, they have that option through our Go Get Funding campaign. Again, all of these links are in the description below, so feel free to go check those out. But as I said, this video is just about trying to, again, jumpstart the interest from our supporters in just getting more people involved, in raising additional funds, because as I said earlier in the video, these peaks and troughs these are something I want to iron out at some point. Over time, I like to think that we're going to sort of steadily increase, as opposed to sort of, being up here and then crashing down here and then coming up here and then crashing down there. Ideally, what I'd like to see is a steady stream of revenue, a steady stream of citizens, and a steady stream of people who are actively looking to participate in what we are doing. Now, in terms of the actual citizen count, I think we're at, where are we now? So we've got 10 citizens through Patreon, and we have 3 citizens of the Imperial family, so we have 13 citizens in total. Considering the size of our followings on social media, that is not a lot. I mean, there's no real correlation between social media and citizenship of any micronation, because micronations recruit citizens in different ways, and it's just not the same. A good example, for example, Ladonia, I think, is the first one that comes to mind. I think their citizenship is just an application process. I think there is like an $80 fee or something if you want to become a lord or lady or a noble or whatever else. But citizenship of Ladonia is free. They've been around for decades. They have a social media presence, but it's not massive. But nonetheless, they have 27,000 citizens. So, compared to us, we don't have that. But, equally, micronations like Molossia, they don't allow people to join as citizens. But they've been around for decades. But I think their citizenship count is based on their family members and potentially their pets. I don't know if that's changed or what the situation is there. But, that number's in the single figures or the dozens. It's not a lot, but, no one would doubt that they're one of the best known micronations in the world, but their citizen count is very, very low. But this is what I mean. There's no real, there's no way to define the size of a micronation in that way, because they're all different. I think Patreon is probably the best way to do it because of a monthly financial contribution. First of all, it shows that the people who want to become citizens are doing so knowing that they're going to contribute financially. They're going to make a meaningful contribution to that micronation on a regular basis. And if they don't support or want to be involved in that micronation anymore, that fee stops and the count drops. So it's like a live ticker, if you like, as to how many people are genuinely supporting that particular project, that particular micronation. And that's one of the reasons that we chose Patreon, because it's, it's in the public. People can see how many people are getting involved. People can see how many are leaving on a month-to-month basis, based on how many citizens that we have. And, bar Wayward, we are the largest one on Patreon, as far as I know, which is fantastic. But yeah, that's all by the by. I think I've sort of rambled on long enough about this. So if you did want to become a part of the Stomarian community, feel free to do so through our Patreon campaign, the link of which is in the description below as always. You can also find the details of the other micronations involved in the Empire of Stomaria in the description below as well. But otherwise, if you did enjoy that video, then please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.